Hello, truth seeker. Have you ever wondered about those people who seem nice but might not be? Well, today I'll reveal ways to spot fake people by looking at what they do, according to Carl Jung. But before we dive in, make sure to subscribe. Now let's get started. Have you ever met someone who was always smiling and being nice to you? You felt a connection with them, but deep down, you couldn't help but wonder about their intentions. Carl Jung, a renowned psychologist, believed that people can sometimes hide their true feelings behind a facade of friendliness. So how can you tell if someone is being genuine or if they're just putting on an act? Jung offers some intriguing clues. Number 1, shadow projection. Jung taught that people project their own inner darkness, which he called the shadow, onto others. This means that when someone is constantly criticizing or mocking you, it may not be because they genuinely dislike you, but because they are battling with their own inner demons. They could be projecting their own negative traits and emotions onto you as a way to cope with their inner turmoil. Think about someone who is always making fun of others for being lazy. It might not be because they don't value hard work, but because they struggle with their own laziness. By pointing out the perceived laziness in others, they can successfully distance themselves from their own shortcomings. So when you notice someone displaying a lot of negativity or judgment towards you, remember that it might be their way of dealing with their own inner conflicts. Instead of taking their words or actions personally, try to understand that they may be projecting their own shadows onto you. Have you ever noticed someone who always seems to need the spotlight? Whether it's telling stories about themselves or asking for compliments, some people crave attention more than others. Jung believed that people who constantly seek attention may be doing so to compensate for feelings of insecurity or a lack of self-worth. By seeking validation from others, they attempt to bolster their own sense of self-importance. Imagine someone who always interrupts conversations to share their own stories, even when they're not relevant. On the surface, it might seem inconsiderate, but it could be because they desperately need to be the center of attention. They might be struggling with feelings of inferiority and use attention-seeking behaviors as a way to mask those insecurities. If you find yourself surrounded by someone who is always seeking attention, remember that their behavior might be a sign of underlying vulnerabilities. Instead of getting frustrated by their actions, try to approach them with empathy and understanding. They always gossip about others. Have you ever had a friend who couldn't stop gossiping about others? They seem to know everyone's business and can't resist sharing it with you. But why do they do it? According to Jung, people who gossip might be doing so to gain a sense of power and control over others. By sharing rumors and secrets, they can feel like they have an advantage or special knowledge, which makes them feel important. Think about someone who constantly gossips about their co-workers. By knowing the latest rumors and workplace drama, they might feel a sense of satisfaction and superiority, believing that they are more informed than others. If you find yourself surrounded by a gossip, it might be helpful to remember that their behavior is likely driven by a desire for power and control, rather than genuine concern or care. Instead of participating in the gossip, try to steer the conversation towards more positive and uplifting topics. Fake people can sometimes be difficult to spot because they often try to hide their true intentions. However, by understanding some of the common behaviors exhibited by those who might not have your best interests at heart, you can better protect yourself from their manipulative tactics. Remember that people who project their inner darkness, constantly seek attention or gossip about others, may be acting out of a sense of insecurity, low self-worth, or a desire for power and control. Carl Jung once said, "The human being is an infinitely complex structure. Of all the labyrinths in the world, the labyrinth of the human soul is the one that is most tortuous and difficult." So how can we make sense of ourselves and our relationships? One way is by understanding the different types of people who populate our social world, especially those whose behavior doesn't always align with what they say. Jung would argue that many of us are capable of repressing our emotions and denying our true selves. But some people take this repression to an art form, becoming masters of hiding their true feelings and motivations. They may seem charming and friendly on the surface, but beneath the facade lurks a darker reality. Number 2, energy drain, psychic vampires. They are passive-aggressive. Have you ever encountered someone who always seems to have something bitter to say, or who always seems to be harboring a grudge? Jung emphasized that people often express their emotions indirectly, rather than openly and honestly. Instead, they may use sarcasm, backhanded compliments, or subtle acts of sabotage to communicate their repressed hostility. Passive-aggressiveness is a sign that someone is struggling with negative emotions such as anger, frustration, or resentment. When someone is harboring these emotions towards you, they may manifest in passive-aggressive behaviors such as making snide remarks, spreading rumors, or procrastinating on tasks that you have asked them to do. These behaviors are often unintentional, and the person may not even be aware that they are doing it. However, if you notice that someone is frequently engaging in passive-aggressive behavior towards you, it may be a sign that they are struggling to communicate their true feelings in a healthy way. If you suspect that someone is being passive-aggressive towards you, it is important to try to understand their perspective and to encourage them to communicate their feelings openly and honestly. It can be helpful to use "I" statements when expressing your own feelings and to avoid blaming or accusing the other person. It is also important to be aware of your own tendencies towards passive-aggressiveness and to make a conscious effort to communicate in a more assertive and positive way. Have you ever felt drained after spending time with certain people? Some people can make you feel exhausted, anxious, or depressed, and it may not be because they are consciously trying to harm you. Jung believed that some people unconsciously drain your energy. This phenomenon can be explained by various psychological concepts, such as emotional contagion, which is the tendency to mimic the emotions of others, or empathy, which is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. When you spend time with someone who is constantly negative or anxious, you may absorb their energy and start feeling the same way. Additionally, some people may take advantage of your kindness and compassion and use it to manipulate you. They may guilt-trip you into doing things for them or make you feel bad for not being able to help them. Moreover, some people may be struggling with their own mental health issues, such as depression or anxiety, and may not be aware that they are taking it out on those around them. In any case, it is important to be aware of the impact that other people have on your emotional well-being. If you notice that you feel drained or anxious after spending time with certain people, it may be a sign that you need to take a break from them or set some boundaries. It is also important to be compassionate towards those who may be struggling with their own mental health issues, and to encourage them to seek professional help. Ultimately, it is up to you to decide who you want to surround yourself with, and to make sure that you are taking care of your own emotional needs. Remember that you cannot pour from an empty cup, and that you must take care of yourself in order to take care of others. If you find yourself constantly drained by the people in your life, it may be time to reevaluate your relationships and make some changes. Have you noticed any of these signs in the people in your life? It can be difficult to confront the idea that someone who seems close to you may harbor negative feelings towards you. But it is important to be aware of the warning signs and to take steps to protect yourself. By understanding the psychology of fake people and the signs that someone harbors resentment towards you, you can better navigate your social relationships and build a support system of authentic and trustworthy individuals. Remember that everyone has the potential for good or evil, and it is up to us to choose how we want to interact with others. By practicing empathy, understanding, and forgiveness, we can create a more positive and harmonious social environment for ourselves and those around us. Imagine this. You've been nurturing a relationship for quite some time now, but lately it's been nothing but arguments and negativity. You find yourself constantly questioning whether this relationship is truly beneficial for your well-being. If this resonates with you, then trust me, you're not alone. Toxic relationships can be incredibly confusing and emotionally draining, leaving you questioning your self-worth and sanity. But it's crucial to recognize the warning signs and prioritize your own health and happiness. So without further ado, let's uncover the 4 signs that it's time to say goodbye to those relationships with emotional vampires that no longer serve you. Signal 1. They never apologize. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you have done nothing wrong, yet still feel blamed and ashamed? Picture this. You've put your heart and soul into planning an event, but despite all your efforts, something goes awry. Despite not being at fault, you find yourself apologizing profusely. This is a clear indication that you're dealing with someone who thrives on making others feel inferior. It's essential to understand that a healthy relationship should be built on mutual respect and accountability. When someone consistently refuses to apologize, it creates an imbalance of power and leaves you feeling undervalued and drained. Remember, you deserve to be with someone who acknowledges their mistakes and takes responsibility for their actions. Don't settle for less. Signal 2. They are overly critical. Have you ever felt suffocated by constant criticism from your partner? Imagine you've just shared a creative idea with your partner, but instead of offering encouragement, they tear it apart with harsh words and dismissive comments. Overly critical behavior is a red flag that they may harbor resentments and dissatisfaction in the relationship. It's crucial to recognize that constructive criticism can be beneficial for growth. But when it becomes excessive and demoralizing, it crosses the line into toxicity. Constant criticism can take a toll on your mental health, making you feel anxious, stressed, and insecure. Remember, you deserve to be with someone who supports and uplifts you, not tears you down. Don't settle for someone who belittles your efforts and steals your joy. Signal 3. They play mind games. Have you ever found yourself caught in a web of deceit and manipulation in your relationship? Playing mind games is a tactic often employed by those who seek to gain power and control over their partners. Imagine you're planning a special surprise for your partner, but they turn it into a battle of wills, using tactics like the silent treatment or guilt tripping to get their way. This is a clear indication that the relationship has become toxic, and it's time to move on. Playing mind games can leave you exhausted, confused, and emotionally manipulated. Remember, a healthy relationship should be based on trust, honesty, and open communication, not deceit and manipulation. Don't waste another minute on someone who treats you like a pawn in their twisted mind games. Signal 4. They are emotionally detached. Have you ever felt disconnected and ignored in your relationship? Emotional detachment is a sign that someone may be harboring resentment or feelings of superiority towards you. Imagine you're sharing a deeply personal story with your partner, but instead of offering comfort and support, they remain distant and unresponsive. When someone shuts down emotionally, it creates a barrier in the relationship, preventing open communication and genuine intimacy. This detachment can leave you feeling isolated and yearned for emotional connection. Remember, you deserve to be with someone who listens, empathizes, and offers support, not indifference and neglect. Don't settle for a loveless relationship when you deserve so much more. It's important to remember that you are worthy of love and respect. Don't settle for less. By recognizing the signs of a toxic relationship and taking steps to distance yourself from those who bring you down, you can pave the way for a brighter and more fulfilling future. Prioritizing your mental health and emotional well-being is crucial, and it's okay to let go of relationships that no longer serve you. Trust me, There are better days ahead. Now we are going to learn about avoidance of authentic connection. Yes, smile. This might sound very intriguing or unbelievable, but trust me, by the end of this video, you're gonna understand what exactly I mean by this statement. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. And if you find this video interesting and helpful, don't forget to click the like button below the video. According to Jung, most people who smile at you don't actually like you. He said that when we smile, our mouth is saying one thing while our eyes say another. Our eyes express how we really feel. If someone smiles at you with their mouth, but their eyes show anger or irritation, then it means that person is not being authentic. Their actions are not aligned with their thoughts. So what does this kind of behavior mean? Jung would say that this is a fracture in the persona. It means that person is hiding their true feelings behind a false persona or character. They are trying to show the world that they are happy and friendly. But deep down inside, they may be feeling negative emotions, such as hatred towards you. There are many people out there who fake their smiles all the time, especially those people who are narcissists or sociopaths. These types of people can be very charming and charismatic when they want to be. They know how to put on a good show and make others believe that they are sincere and honest. But behind closed doors, they can be very different. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever met someone who always seemed to be smiling and laughing? At first, you might think that this person was just really happy and friendly. But as you got to know them better, you began to see a different side of them. Maybe they were gossiping about others behind their backs, spreading rumors, or being manipulative and controlling. It can be very shocking and disappointing when you realize that someone who you thought was your friend was actually being fake and using you for their own benefit. This is why it is important to be aware of the signs of inconsistency between words and body language. If someone is smiling with their mouth, but their eyes show hatred, then it might be a sign that they are not being authentic and that they may have negative intentions towards you. Have you ever heard of the term micro-expressions? These are involuntary facial expressions that can reveal a person's true emotions. When someone is trying to hide their emotions, their mask may slip and show the truth. For example, let's say that you are having a conversation with someone and they are telling you about something that happened to them. They seem to be smiling and being positive, but their eyes are downcast and lack any spark of happiness. Instead, they appear sad and lifeless. This could be a sign that the person is not being authentic and is actually feeling down, even though they are trying to pretend otherwise. When someone looks down and away during a conversation, it can signal that they are not interested or that they are hiding something. Looking down may suggest that the person is focusing on something else, possibly replaying the conversation in their head and thinking of a response. Or it might indicate that they are trying to hide their face or eyes to avoid giving any emotional cues. Either way, this behavior can signal that the person is uncomfortable or dishonest in the conversation. If someone is looking up and away during a conversation, it can suggest that they are distracted or unfocused. This behavior can also indicate that the person is bored or disinterested in the topic of conversation and is trying to escape mentally. Looking up and away can also suggest that the person is trying to hide their emotions or lack thereof, which could indicate that they are being fake or insincere in the conversation. According to Jung, one of the signs that someone hates you and smiles is that they avoid a deep connection with you. He believed that true connection comes from the soul to the soul. It's a profound and meaningful connection that goes beyond superficial chit-chat. However, some people may avoid this type of connection because they are afraid of being vulnerable or opening up to someone. Or perhaps they just enjoy the superficial and meaningless interactions. They prefer to maintain a safe distance and not get too close to anyone. Imagine going out to dinner with a group of friends. The atmosphere is lively with laughter and chatter as everyone shares stories and jokes. However, one person in particular seems distant and cold. Despite the best efforts of the group to include them in the conversation, this person remains unresponsive and unengaged. No matter what is said, they offer only a few short answers and seem uninterested in getting to know the others better. As the night goes on, it becomes clear that this person is not interested in forming any meaningful connections. Instead, they are content to remain on the surface and avoid any deeper conversations. Jung might view this person as someone who dislikes the group and is only there because they feel they have to be. They may not want to admit it, but deep down, they are harboring negative feelings toward the group members. Jung believed that if someone truly likes you, they will look at you with a deep and meaningful gaze, connecting with you on a soul-to-soul level. On the other hand, if they hate you, they will avoid making eye contact or engaging in deep conversations. Instead, they will keep things superficial and meaningless. Jung felt that this is because people who hate you are threatened by your existence. They may feel that you are a reminder of something they have not yet accomplished, or a challenge to their own sense of identity. As a result, they try to bring you down and make your life difficult. Here's another sign. According to Jung, the second sign that someone hates you and smiles is that they avoid eye contact with you. This is because people who hate you are often threatened by your presence. They may feel that you represent something that they envy or aspire to have, and they feel the need to bring you down. As a result, they will try to belittle you or make you feel bad about yourself. Think about the person who always seems to be smiling and laughing. While others are talking, they often look away to avoid making eye contact. This can be a sign that they are not interested in what others have to say, or that they are embarrassed by the conversation. When someone looks away during a conversation, it can suggest that they are trying to escape mentally and are not present in the moment. This can be a sign of disengagement, boredom, or a lack of interest in the topic of conversation. Another way that someone may avoid eye contact is by staring at their phone or other devices. This behavior can suggest that the person is more interested in their device than in the conversation. Staring at a phone or other device can be a sign of distraction, disengagement, or a lack of interest in the people around them. I hope you can recognize this type of behavior in your daily life. It can be helpful to pay attention to the nonverbal cues of those around you, as they can provide insight into how they truly feel. By being aware of these signs, you may be able to avoid situations where you are being taken advantage of or manipulated by those who do not have your best interests at heart. In conclusion, according to Jung, the signs that someone hates you and smiles are inconsistency between words and body language, avoidance of authentic connection, and avoidance of eye contact. These signs may be subtle, but it's important to be aware of them. Not everyone who smiles is being genuine, and not everyone who looks away during a conversation is doing so politely. Sometimes these behaviors can be signs of disrespect, disengagement, or even hatred. Remember to pay attention to the nonverbal cues of those around you and trust your intuition. If you feel that someone is not being honest with you, then don't ignore it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss out on new videos. Thanks for watching.